This is part 2 of my Ajax example videos. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a post request to a REST API via Ajax. There's a lot of, acronyms, but essentially what's going to happen is we're going to take data that the user enters and save it via an API call to our server. So just this very quick recap, I've got this to-do list application. It shows to-do items. The HTML is this pretty simple layout where I have a list with the items to be displayed in it. In the previous video, I showed how to write this function that does an Ajax GET request, which gets all the current to-do items and loads it up into the list to be displayed. I also have this input area for them to write whatever they want, and a button that will take the contents of this input field and add it to the list So for example, if I type hi, not a great to-do item, but whatever, great, it gets added. What's the problem with this? Well, if I refresh the page, it's gone. That's because when I hit add, it takes the the text out of the box, puts in the list, but that's it. It doesn't store it anywhere. It's not saved anywhere. So when I refresh the page, a new copy of the page is retrieved from the server, but that's lacking the latest to-do thing I've added. So what we need to do is when I add an item, I need to put it on the page, and I also need to call the API to store that information or save it for later. So that means I need to write a new function. So I'm going to add to my add to-do function. Sounds strange, but makes sense. So let's go up here. Add to do. Again, I covered this previously, but what happens here is, okay, we get the input data out here. I'm a big believer in logging all over the place. This gets the actual value of what the user wrote. If they wrote anything, I call this show to do function, which is up here, which grabs the list and adds another list item. Great. So in here, save the. I'm going to do this. I'm going to call the REST API and save our to-do item there. Or rather, in the REST terminology, I'm going to use the to-do resource to create a new to-do task. Anyways, I just need to define a new function here. Okay, so I need to post this data. I'm going to call this function, I spell right function, post to do. Actually, let's call it save to do. That sounds better. There's a few steps we need to do here. First, I'm just going to, again, console.log, be like, posting the to-do to the API. Okay, let's put this in here. Okay, so I just, again, JavaScript's so sort of flimsy and fragile, just breaks every chance it can get. Every small, the slightest mistake will just, send it down in a big ball of flame. So let's just sprinkle in some logs to make sure it's still working and it's not just, it hasn't just, silently slid off into the great bit bucket in the sky. So what I'm going to do now is call this here, and I don't have the real functionality implemented, but I should at least see it. Really creative name. Great. So I saw it made it in here. Not only did it run the previous logic to display it, it hit my save to do thing. Got this to do list posting that. Wait. Got this do. I didn't see it. I didn't. Got this to do list. Show to do. Save to do. Posting. I didn't see this. That's questionable. So this is why you want to do it, because what's happening here? So I can add in another message here, console.log, new task, and I can add this task, refresh, new task. Oh, there we go. How do you refresh the page? So there's all sorts of little dumb things like this with JavaScript. So I updated it, I'd saved it, but I hadn't refreshed. It was using the previous version. Okay, so yeah, these are all good reasons just to throw in console.log everywhere to keep sanity checking yourself, because it's really easy just to fall into those old traps of saying, well, I changed something, but oh, forgot to refresh the page. Just kidding, you weren't using the new version. All right, let's continue on. So I need to create let's call it the to-do object. Let's prepare the request. So I need to create a to-do object. That's going to be the object I'm going to turn in the JSON and send. I'm going to prepare a request. I'm going to set the callback, and then I'm going to send the request. Now, in the GET request, the callback was kind of the main or the most substantive piece of logic. In this, it's not going to be as important. The other parts are going to be more important because we're mostly going to be sending off data and we're not really going to care too much about the response. So we're going to, I'm going to call it, well, that's not syntactically correct. Based on the design of my API, to create a new to-do item in the API, you just have to send in an object that has a single property called text, and you specify what the text is. So I've created that here. It's nice and simple. Now let's go ahead and make the request. So I have to again use XML HTTP request. Great. There's another step. So I'm typing in set request header. I have this, so in an HTTP request, there's two halves. It has a header and a body. The header is metadata. It's there's a bunch of different things that could be associated there. One thing is, well, it specifies the method of the request. That is post versus get versus put versus delete. So that's one thing that's in the header. Another thing that's in the header is the content type of the body. So I'm going to specify, you literally write out content-type, and I'm saying in the header, hey, you can interpret the body that's incoming as JSON. That's important so my API knows, that is, the libraries I use to implement it automatically look at this for this header. If they see it, they take the body and parse it as JSON. So it makes my API sort of work magically. If I don't send this piece of information, and it doesn't work at all. So this is very necessary for most kind of REST or server-side API frameworks or libraries. So that's a must-do. Now we're going to set the callback on ready state change. They just loved really long names for attributes and methods, and all I'm going to do is log the status when the request is finished. So I just for the sake of showing you something, I'm going to say this. So remember the request goes through several states. State 4 is completed, so if you just say you check if ready state is equal to 4, that means all right, the request is finished. That means the request was made, the data was sent, we got a response back. In this case, all I really want to do is use our friend response console.log to log response status. So I'm going to do this dot status. Great. So that's the callback. If you recall, the other get method used a much more sophisticated callback to display a bunch of things. I'm just going to log the fact that the request completed. Now I need to send the data. So this is similar but a little more involved. So I'm going to again use request.send. I have to use this wonderful built-in method. So this JSON object has a method called stringify. It takes an object and it creates a JSON string. So send will only take a string. Stringify is essentially taking an object, making a string formatted in a way that looks like an object so it can be parsed on the other side. And that should be it. No bugs withstanding. Finish the video. So now, again, when I come over here, before I send that message, this is me directly interacting with the API here. I refresh it. That means it only has these two to-do items stored within the database. Hit add. Great. There's no errors blew up here. I see this posting. Finish the video. Great. Now let's see if it worked. So let's come over here and refresh. Nope, it didn't. So you notice I didn't get response text back. Oh, I probably, again, forgot to refresh. So I have to do finish the video, add, my state must be open. Oh, I forgot one key step in here. So in the request, before I got ahead of myself, I set the header, but I didn't open it. So I have to open it, specify post, and I have to give the URL. So if you're wondering where I was going to specify that the whole time, good job. If not, well, pay attention. So I need to add in, just like before, I have this username variable displayed, or previously defined. This is the address of my local web server. And true on the end, FYI, means to make the call asynchronously. So now let's come over here. Let's refresh the page. Now I can say finish the video. I add, and I made a typo. This is the most anticlimactic finish of them all. Oh, maybe it worked. Was there an error? Finish Ajax video. Oh, I was right there before. Finish the video. Data is not defined. Oh, I said data down here. That's really dumb. To-do item. So this is why you keep console open. This is the real moral of the story. On the right, please be done. JSON.string. Okay, I'm not really blaming myself for that. Stringify is not a real word, so of course I'm going to misspell it. Please be over. Yes. Okay, now come over here, refresh. Oh, it shows up. So when I access the API directly via this URL, it shows up. Please be over. It's there. It works finally. So then, again, always develop Java with your console out, looking at it. Great. That's it. Bye.